Hello, my name's Alex Matalski. I am one of the founders of the Fleeing Artists and also the creator of our theater's Summer Shakespeare program. So, on behalf of our Summer Shakespeare program and our theater, I want to welcome you and thank you so very much for tuning in to our YouTube premiere of CREDITORS, written by August Strindberg and directed and edited by our own Kimberly Laberge. This is the third and final performance as done as part of our 7th annual Summer Shakespeare series. We certainly weren't expecting to go digital this year, but by God, we have worked with so many wonderful people we never would have worked with as a result. So that's the silver lining we're going to go with. Before we get started, just a couple of things. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that this performance is sponsored by the Kenosha Community Foundation. Our Summer Shakespeare series is funded in part by the Kenosha Arts Fund grant. So without them, this show would not have been possible. So thank you so much, Kenosha Community Foundation and the Arts Fund grant. Additionally, unlike our prior two productions this summer, Much Ado About Nothing and The Winter's Tale, this show, CREDITORS, is a one-act. It runs about 90 minutes, meaning that there will be no intermission. So, there is a show program, and if you want to take a look at it, you could do it now, or maybe wait until afterwards, or just take a peek during, I'm not going to tell. If you want to look at the program, it is listed in the show's Facebook event and also on our theater's Facebook page. So type in Zoom CREDITORS or CREDITORS Zoom, type in Fleeing Artists Theater, and you'll find it. Additionally, as many of you no doubt have heard, our community of Kenosha, Wisconsin has been going through some turmoil over the past week, almost 2 weeks. If you could please support our community at this time by making a monetary donation to Uptown Fundraiser, Uptown Kenosha Fundraiser, Downtown Kenosha Fundraiser, or any fundraiser related to Kenosha, our community would greatly appreciate it, and your donation will help make us into a better community. On that note, CREDITORS.
And for all this, I have to thank you.
Oh, nonsense.
Certainly. During my first days after my wife had gone, I lay helpless on the sofa and did nothing but long for her. And it was as if she had taken away my crutches with her, so that I couldn't move from that spot. When I had a couple days of sleep, I seemed to come to and began to pull myself together. My head calmed down after having been working so feverishly. Old thoughts from my days gone by bobbed up again. My desire to work and the instinct for creation came back. My eyes recovered their faculty of quick and straight vision. And then you showed up.
I'll admit that you were in a miserable condition when I first saw you, and you had to use your crutches when you walked. But this is not to say that my presence has been the cause of your recovery. You needed a rest, and you had a craving for masculine company.
Oh, that's true enough. Like everything you say. Once, I used to have men for friends, but I thought them superfluous after I married. I felt quite satisfied with the one I had chosen. Later, I was drawn into new circles and made a lot of acquaintances, but my wife was jealous of them. She wanted to keep me to herself. Or still, she wanted also to keep my friends to herself, and so I was left alone with my own jealousy.
Yes, you have a strong tendency toward that kind of disease.
I was afraid of losing her, and I tried to prevent it. There was something strange in that, but I was never afraid that she might be deceiving me.
I know that's never what married men are afraid of.
Yes, isn't it queer? What I really feared was that her friends, they would get such an influence over her that they would begin to exercise some kind of indirect power over me, and that is something I could not bear.
So your ideas don't agree? Yours and your wife's?
Seeing that you heard so much already, I may as well tell you everything. My wife has an independent nature. What are you smiling at?
Oh, no. Go on. She has an independent nature.
She cannot accept anything from me.
But from everybody else.
Yes. It looked as if she especially hated my ideas because they were mine, and not because there was anything wrong with them. For it used to happen quite often that she advanced ideas that had once been mine, and that she stood up for them as if they were her own. Yes. Yes, it even happened that my friends of mine who gave her ideas which they had taken directly from me, and then they seemed all right. Everything was all right except when it came from me.
Which means that you are not entirely happy.
Oh, yes, I am happy. I am happy. I have the one I wanted, and I have never wanted anybody else.
But you've never wanted to be free, huh?
No, I cannot say that I have. Oh, well, sometimes I have imagined that it might be a rest to be free. The moment she leaves, I begin to long for her. Long for her as if she were my own eyes, arms, and legs. It is queer sometimes. I have a feeling that she is nothing in herself, but only a part of myself, and an organ that can take away with it my will, my own desire to live. It seems almost as if I had deposited with her the center of my vitality, which the anatomical books tell us.
Perhaps when we get to the bottom of it, that is just what has happened.
How could it be so? Is she not an independent being with her thoughts of her own? When I met her, I was nothing, a child of an artist whom she undertook to educate.
You later developed her thoughts and educated her, didn't you?
No, she stopped growing and I pushed on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Isn't it strange, though, that her authoring seemed to fall off after her first book, or that it failed to improve, at least. But that first time, she had a subject which wrote itself. What I understand, she used her former husband as a model. You never knew him, did you? They say he was an idiot.
I never knew him, as he was always away 6 months at a time. But he must have been an arch idiot, judging by her picture of him. And feel sure that picture was correct.
Oh, I do. But whoa, why did she ever take him?
She didn't know him well enough. Of course, you never do get acquainted until afterwards.
And for that reason, one ought not to marry until afterwards. And he was a tyrant, of course.
Of course?
Yeah, well, so are all married men. You not the least.
I? Who let my wife come and go as she pleases?
Oh, that's nothing. You couldn't lock her up now, could you? But would you like her to stay away whole nights?
No, really, I don't.
There, you see. And to tell the truth, it would only make you ridiculous to like it.
Ridiculous? Can a man be ridiculous because he trusts his own wife?
Of course he can. It's just what you are already, thoroughly at that.
It's what I dread the most of all. There is going to be a change.
Oh, don't get excited now. You'll have another attack.
But why isn't she ridiculous when I stay out all night?
Yeah, why? Well, that's nothing that concerns you, but that's the way it is. And while you are trying to figure out the why, a mishap has already occurred.
What mishap?
However, the first husband was a tyrant. And she took him only to get her freedom. So you see, a girl cannot have her freedom without providing herself a chaperone, or what we call a husband.
Of course not.
And now you are the chaperone.
I?
And you are the husband. Am I not right?
I don't know. You lived with the woman for years, but you never stopped to analyze her or the relationship you're in, and then there you are. Begin to think. Gustav, you are my friend, the only male friend I have. During the last week, you have given me courage to live again. It is as if your own magnetism had been poured into me. Like a watchmaker, you have fixed the works in my head and wound up the spring again. Can't you hear it yourself how I think more clearly and speak more to the point? And to myself, at least, it seems as if my voice had recovered its ring.
So it seems to me also. Why is that?
I shouldn't wonder if you grew accustomed to lowering your voice around women. I know TEKLA has definitely accused me of shouting.
So you toned down your voice and accepted the rule of the slipper.
That isn't quite how I put it. I think it is even worse than that. But let us talk of something else. What was I saying? Yes. You came here and you enabled me to see my art in the true light. Of course, for some time I had noticed a growing lack of interest in painting, as if it didn't seem to offer the proper medium of expression of what I wanted to bring out. But when you explained to me this, it made it clear why painting must fail as a timely outlet for the creative instinct. Then I saw at last, and I realized that hereafter it would not be possible for me to express the means of color alone.
And are you quite sure now that you cannot go on painting, that you may not have a relapse?
Perfectly sure. I tested it myself. When I went to bed after our talk, I rehearsed your argument point by point. I knew you had it right. But when I woke up from a good night's sleep, my head was clear again. Then it came over me in a flash that you might be mistaken after all. And I jumped out of bed, got a hold of my brushes and paints, but it was no use. Every trace of illusion was gone. It was nothing but a smear of paint, and I quaked at the thought of having believed and having made others believe that a painted canvas could be anything but a painted canvas. The veil had fallen from my eyes, and it was just as impossible to paint any more as it was to become a child again.
And then you saw that the realistic tendency of our day, this craving for actuality and tangibility, could only find its proper form in sculpture. It gives you body, extension in all 3 dimensions.
Yes, 3 dimensions in body, in a word.
Yes, and then you became a sculptor yourself. Or rather, you have been one all your life, but you had gone astray. And nothing was needed but a guide to put you on the right road. So, tell me, do you experience supreme joy now when you are at work?
Now I am living.
May I see what you're doing?
Yes. A female figure.
Oh. And without a model. Oh, so lifelike.
Yes. But it resembles somebody.
Oh.
It's remarkable that this woman seems to have become a part of my body as I of hers.
Oh, yes, well, that's not so very remarkable. Do you know what transfusion is?
Of blood? Yes.
Yes, and you seem to have bled yourself a little too much. See, when I look at the figure here, I comprehend a great deal that I merely guessed at before. You have loved her tremendously.
Yes. To such an extent that I couldn't tell whether she was I or I she. When she is smiling, I smile also. She's weeping, I weep, and when she, can you believe anything like it? When she was giving life to our child, I felt the birth pains within myself.
You know, my dear friend, I hate to speak of it, but you are already showing the first symptoms of epilepsy.
How can you tell?
Oh, because I have watched the symptoms in a younger brother of mine who had been worshiping Venus a little too excessively.
How did it show itself, that thing you speak of?
Oh, no, it was dreadful to witness, and if you don't feel strong enough, I won't inflict a description of it upon you.
Yes, go right on. Just go on.
The boy happened to marry an innocent little creature with curls and eyes like a turtle dove, the face of a child and the pure soul of an angel. But nevertheless, she managed to usurp the male prerogative.
What is that?
Initiative, of course, and with the result that the angel nearly carried him off to heaven. But he first had to be put on the cross and made to feel the nails in its flesh. Well, it was horrible.
What happened?
Oh, well, we might be sitting together, you sort of talking, he and I, and when I had been speaking for a while, his face would turn white as chalk. His arms and legs would grow stiff, and his thumbs became twisted against the palms of his hands, like this. And then his eyes became bloodshot, and he began to chew like this, and the saliva was rattling in his throat. His chest squeezed together as if it had been closed in a vice. The pupils of his eyes flickered like gas jets. His tongue beat the saliva into a lather, and he sank slowly down backward into the chair as if he were drowning. And then...
Stop!
And then, I'm sorry, are you not feeling well?
No!
Oh, there, drink. Drink now, we'll talk of something else.
Thank you. Go on. Please go on.
Oh, well, when he came to, see, he couldn't remember anything at all. He had lost consciousness. Has that ever happened to you?
Yes, I've had attacks of vertigo now and then, but my physician says it's only anemia.
Oh, yes, well, that's the beginning of it, you know, but believe me, it will end in an epilepsy if you don't take care of yourself.
What can I do?
Oh, to begin with, you will have to observe complete abstinence.
For how long?
For half a year at least.
I cannot do that. That would upset our married life.
Well, goodbye to you then.
I cannot do it.
Can you not save your own life? Oh, no, but tell me, as you have already given me so much of your confidence, is there no other canker? No secret wound that troubles you? For it is very rare for one to find only one cause of discord, as life is so full of variety and so fruitful in chances for false relationships. Is there not a corpse in your cargo that you were trying to hide from yourselves? If, for instance, you said a minute ago that you have a child which has been left in other people's care, why don't you keep it with you?
My wife doesn't want us to.
Her reason? Speak up now.
Because when it was about 3 years old, it began to look like him, her former husband.
Well, have you seen her former husband?
No, never. I've only had a casual glance, a very poor portrait of him, and then I couldn't detect the slightest resemblance.
Yeah, the portraits are never like the original, and besides, he might have changed considerably since it was made. However, I hope it hasn't aroused any suspicions in you.
Not at all. A child was born a year after our marriage, and the husband was abroad when I first met Tekla. It happened right after, in this very house, even. That's why we come here every summer.
Yeah, well, no, there can be no cause for suspicion, and you wouldn't have any reason to trouble yourself anyhow. But see, the children of a widow who marries again often show a likeness to her dead husband. It is annoying, of course, and that's why they used to burn all widows in India, as you know. But tell me, have you ever felt jealous of him, of his memory? Would it not sicken you to meet him on a walk and hear him with his eyes on your Tekla use the word we instead of I, we?
I cannot deny that I have been pursued by that very thought.
You'll never get rid of it. See, there are discords in this life which can never be reduced to harmony. For this reason, you had better put wax in your ears and get to work. You work, grow old, and pile masses of new impressions on the hatches, then the corpse will stay quiet in the hold.
Pardon me for interrupting you, but it is wonderful how you resemble Tekla now and then while you're talking. You have a way of blinking one eye like you're taking aim with a gun, and your eyes have the same influence as her at times.
No, really.
And no, that you said that no, the way you said that no, really, in that same and different way she does. She also has a habit of saying no, really, quite often.
Oh, well, perhaps we are distantly related, seeing that all human beings are said to be of one family. At any rate, it will be interesting to make your wife's acquaintance, see if what you say is true.
And she never takes an expression from me. She seems rather to avoid my vocabulary. And I have never caught her using my gestures. And yet, people as a rule develop what is called a marital resemblance.
And do you know why this has not happened in your case? The woman has never loved you.
What do you mean?
I hope you will excuse what I am saying, but the woman's love consists in taking, you see, in receiving, and one from whom she takes nothing does not have her love. She has never loved you.
Don't you think her capable of loving more than once?
No. But we cannot be deceived more than once. Then our eyes are opened once and for all. You have never been deceived, so you had better beware of those that have. They're dangerous, I tell you.
Your words, they pierce like a knife thrust. And I, a fool, as if something were being severed within me, but I cannot help it, and this cutting brings a certain relief too, for it means the pricking ulcers that never seem to ripen. She has never loved me. Why then did she ever take me?
Tell me first how she came to take you, and whether it was you who took her or she who took you.
Heaven only knows if I could tell it all. How did it happen? It didn't come about in one day.
Would you like me to tell you how it did happen?
That's more than you can do.
By using the information about yourself and your wife, which you have given me, I think I can reconstruct the whole event. Listen, now, and you'll hear, see, the husband had gone away abroad to study, and she was alone. At first, her freedom was freeing, and then she began to feel a sense of vacancy, for I presume she was pretty empty when she had lived by herself for a fortnight, and then he appeared. By and by, the vacancy was filled up. You see, by comparison, the absent one seemed to fade out, for the simple reason that he was at a distance. You know the law about the square of the distance. But when they felt their passions stirring, when they then came themselves, their consciences of him, for protection, they played brother and sister. The more their feelings smacked of the flesh, the more they tried to make the relationship appear spiritual.
Brother and sister, how can you know that?
I guessed it, you see. Children are in the habit of playing Papa and Mama, but when they grow up, they play brother and sister in order to hide what should be hidden. And then they took the vow of chastity. And then they played hide and seek until they got in a dark corner where they were sure of not being seen by anybody. But they felt there was one whose eyes reached them in the darkness, and they grew frightened. And their fright raised the specter of the absent one. His figure began to assume immense proportions. It became metamorphosed, turned into a nightmare that disturbed their amorous slumbers, a creditor who knocked at all doors. They saw his black hand between their own as they sneaked toward each other across the table, and they heard his grating voice through the stillness of the night that should have been broken only by the beating of their own pulses. He did not prevent them from possessing each other, but he spoiled their happiness. And when they took flight at last, a vain flight, from the memories that pursued them, from the liability that they had left behind, from the public opinion which they could not face, and when they found themselves without the strength needed to carry their own guilt, then they had to send out for a scapegoat to be sacrificed. They were free thinkers, but they did not have the courage to step forward and speak openly to him the words, "We love each other." And to sum it up, they were cowards. And so the tyrant had to be slaughtered. Is that about right?
Yes, but you forget that she educated me, that she filled my head with new thoughts.
I've not forgotten. But tell me, why could she not educate the other man also into a free thinker?
Oh, he was an idiot.
Oh, of course, yes, of course. Yes, he was an idiot. But see, that's rather an ambiguous term, and as pictured in her novel, his idiocy seems mainly to have constituted in a failure to understand her. So pardon me a question, but is your wife so very profound after all? I have discovered nothing profound in her writings.
Neither have I. But then, I also must confess a certain difficulty in understanding her. It is with the cogs in our brains which didn't fit into each other. As if something went to pieces with my head whenever I tried to comprehend her.
Maybe you were an idiot too.
I don't think so. And it seems to me all the time as if she were in the wrong. Would you care to read this letter, which, for instance, I got today?
Oh, well, well, the handwriting seems strangely familiar.
Rather masculine, don't you think?
Well, I know at least one man who writes in that kind of hand. You see how she addresses you as brother. You still playing comedy to each other? Do you never permit yourselves any greater familiarity in speaking to each other?
No, it seems that all mutual respect is lost in that way.
So is it to make you respect her that she calls herself your sister?
I want to respect her more than myself. I want her to be the better part of my own self.
Why don't you be the better part yourself? Would it be less convenient than to permit somebody else to fill the part? Do you want to place yourself beneath your wife?
Yes, I do. I take pleasure in never quite reaching up to her. I've taught her to swim, for example, and now I enjoy hearing her boast that she surpasses me in both skill and daring. To begin with, I merely pretended to be awkward and timid in order to raise her courage, and so it ended with me actually being her inferior, more of a coward than she. It almost seemed to me as if she had actually taken my courage away from me.
You taught her anything else?
Yes, but it must stay between us. I've taught her to spell, which she didn't know before, but listen, when she took charge of our domestic correspondence, I grew out of the habit of writing, and think of it, as the years passed on, Lack of practice made me forget a little here and there of grammar. But do you think she recalls that I was the one that taught her to start? No. And so I am the idiot, of course.
So you are an idiot already.
Oh, it's a joke, of course.
Of course, yes, but this is clear cannibalism. I think. Do you know what's behind that sort of practice? The savages eat their enemies in order to acquire their useful qualities. And this woman has been eating your soul, your courage, your knowledge.
And my faith! It was I who urged her to write her first book.
Oh!
It was I who praised her even when I found her stuff rather poor. It was I who brought her into literary circles where she could gather up the honey from our ornamental literary flowers. It was I who used my personal influence to keep the critics from her throat. It was I who blew her faith into herself into a flame, blew on it until I lost my own breath. I gave until I had nothing left for myself. Do you know? I'll tell you everything now. Do you know? I really believe the human soul is so peculiarly constituted. I believe that when my artistic success seemed to put her in the shadow as well as her reputation, then I tried to put courage into her by belittling myself and by making my own art seem inferior to hers. I talked so long about the insignificant part played in my painting on the whole, talked so long about it, invented so many reasons to prove what I said, that one day I found myself convinced of its futility. So all you had to do was breathe on a house of cards.
Pardon me for recalling what you said at the beginning of our talk, that she had never taken anything from you.
She doesn't nowadays. There's nothing more to take.
The snake being full, now it vomits.
Perhaps she had been taking more of a good deal from me than I was aware of.
You can be sure of that. She took when you were not looking, and that is called theft.
Perhaps she never did educate me.
But you heard, oh, in all likelihood, but it was her trick to make it appear the other way to you. May I ask how she set about educating you?
Oh, first of all, well,
No. We were speaking of her.
Really, I cannot tell now.
You see.
However, she devoured my faith also. So I sank further and further down. You came along and gave me new faith.
In sculpture.
Yes.
And do you really have faith in it, in this abstract, antiquated art that dates back to the childhood of civilization? Do you believe that you can obtain your effect by pure form, by the three dimensions? Tell me that you can reach the practical mind of our own day and convey an illusion to it without the use of color, without color, mind you. Do you really believe that?
No.
No, well, I don't either.
Well, why did you say you did?
Because I pitied you.
Oh, yes. I am to be pitied, for now I am bankrupt, finished. Worst of all, not even she is left to me.
Well, what could you do with her?
Oh, she would be to me what God was before I became an atheist. An object that might help me exercise my sense of veneration.
Oh, bury your sense of veneration and let something else grow on top of it, a little wholesome scorn, for instance.
I cannot live without something to respect.
Slave.
Without a woman to respect and
Oh,
worship.
hell, then you had better take back your God if you must need to have something to kowtow to. Oh, you're a fine atheist. With all that superstition about women still in you. Oh, yes, you're a fine free thinker who dare not think freely about the dear ladies. Do you know what that incomprehensible, sphinx-like, profound something your wife really is? It is sheer stupidity. Now look here. Look. She cannot even distinguish between and and you know that means there's something wrong with the mechanism. Now, when you look at the case, it looks like a chronometer, but the works inside are those of an ordinary cheap watch. Nothing but the skirts, that's all. Put trousers on her, give her a pair of mustaches and some soot under her nose, then take a good sober look at her, listen to her in the same manner. You'll find the instrument has another sound to it. A phonograph and nothing else, giving you back your own words or those of other people, and always in a diluted form. Have you ever looked at a naked woman? Oh, yes, of course. A youth with overdeveloped breasts, an underdeveloped man, a child that has shot up to full height and then stopped growing in other respects, one who is chronically anemic. What can you expect of such a creature?
Supposing all that to be true, can it be possible I still think of her as my equal?
Hallucination. The hypnotizing power of skirts. Or, the two of you may actually have become equals. You see, the leveling process has been finished. Her capillarity has brought the water in both tubes to the same height. Tell me our talk has now lasted 6 hours, and your wife ought to be here soon. Don't you think we'd better stop so you can get a rest?
No, don't leave me. I don't dare be alone.
Oh, it's only for a little while, and then the lady will come.
Yes, she is coming. It is queer. I long for her, but I am afraid of her. She pets me. She is so tender to me, but there is suffocation in her kisses. Something that pulls and numbs, and I feel like a circus child that is being pinched by a clown in order that it may look rosy cheek when it appears in public.
I feel very sorry for you, my friend. Without being a physician, I can tell you that you are a dying man. It's enough to look at your latest pictures in order to see that.
Well, you think so? How can you see it?
Your color is watery blue, anemic and thin, so that the cadaverous yellow of the canvas shines through. And it impresses me as if your own hollow, putty-colored cheeks were showing beneath.
Oh, stop!
Well,
Stop!
this is not only my personal opinion. Have you read today's paper?
Oh?
Oh, it's here on the table.
Do they speak of it there?
Read it, or do you want me to read it for you?
No.
All right, I'll leave you if you want me to.
No, I don't know. It seems as if I were beginning to hate you, and yet I cannot let you go. You drag me out of a hole in which I have fallen, but no sooner am I on firm ice than you knock me on my head, shove me into the water again. As long as my secrets were my own, I still had something left within me, but now I am quite empty. There is a canvas by an Italian master showing a scene of torture, a saint whose intestines are being torn out of him and rolled on an axle of a windlass. The martyr is watching himself grow thinner and thinner while the roll on the axle grows thicker. Now it seems to me as if you had swelled out since we had begun to dig into me. When you leave, you'll carry with me my vitals and leave nothing left but an empty shell behind.
How you do let your fancy run away with you? And besides, your wife is bringing back your own heart.
No, not since you burned her to ashes. Everything in ashes where you have passed along. My art, my love, my hope, my faith.
All of it was pretty nearly finished before I came along.
Yes, but it might have been saved. Now it's too late. Incendiary.
No, we have cleared some ground only. Now we'll sow in the ashes.
I hate you. I curse you.
Good symptoms. There's still some strength left in you. Now I'll pull you up on the ice again. Now listen now. Do you want to listen to me? Do you want to obey me?
With me what you will. I'll obey you.
Look at me.
Now I am looking at you again with that other pair of eyes which attracts me.
And listen to me.
Yes, but speak of yourself. Don't talk of me any longer. I cannot bear it. I am like an open wound that cannot bear being touched.
Oh, no, there is nothing to say about me. I'm a teacher of dead languages and a widower, that's all. Take my hand.
What terrible power there must be in you. Feels like I'm touching an electrical generator.
Bear in mind that I have been as weak as you are now. Stand up.
I cannot. I am boneless, like a baby. My brain lies bare.
Take a turn across the floor. Do what I say, or I'll strike you.
What? I cannot. What are you saying?
I'll strike you, I said.
You!
Yeah, that's it. You got the blood in your head and your self-assurance is awake. Now, I'll give you some electricity. Where is your wife?
Where is she?
Yes.
She's at a meeting.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
What kind of meeting?
Something relating to an orphan asylum.
Did you part as friends?
Not as friends.
As enemies, then? What did you say that provoked her?
You are terrible. I am afraid of you. How could you know?
It's very simple. I possess 3 known factors, and with their help, I figure out the unknown one. What did you say to her?
Said only 2 words, but they were dreadful, and I regret them. I regret them very much.
Tell me now.
I said old flirt.
What more did you say?
Nothing at all.
Yes, you did. But you have forgotten it. Perhaps you don't dare remember it. You have put it away in a secret drawer, but you have got to open it now.
I can't remember.
But I know. This is what you said. You ought to be ashamed of flirting when you are too old to have any more lovers.
Did I say that? I must have said it, but how can you know that I did?
I heard her tell the story on a boat as I came here.
To whom?
4 young men who formed her company. She's already developing a taste for chaste young men, just like
There's nothing wrong in that.
no more than playing brother and sister when you are mama and papa.
So you have seen her then?
Yes. Yes, I have. But you have never seen her when you didn't, when you weren't present. And there's the reason, you see, why a husband can never really know his wife. Have you got a portrait of her?
Yes.
You were not present when this was taken?
No.
Look at it. Does it bear much resemblance to the portrait that you painted of her? Hardly any. No, the features are the same, but the expression is quite different. But you don't see this because your own picture of her creeps in between your eyes and this one. See, look at it now as a painter. Without giving a thought to the original, what does it represent? Nothing, as far as I can see. An affected coquette inviting somebody to come and play with her. Now, do you notice the cynical line on her mouth, which you were never allowed to see? Can you see that her eyes are seeking out some man who is not you? You observe that her dress is cut low at the neck, that her hair is done up in a different way, that her sleeve has managed to slip back from her arm. Can you see this?
Yes. Now I see.
Yes, look out, my boy.
For what?
For her revenge. Bear in mind that when you said she could not attract a man, you struck at what to her is most sacred, the one thing above all others. If you had told her that she wrote nothing but nonsense, she would have laughed at your poor taste. But as it is, believe me, it will not be her fault if her desire for revenge has not already been satisfied.
I must know if it is so.
Find out.
Find out?
Watch. I'll assist you if you want me to.
As I am to die anyhow, it may as well come first at last. What am I to do?
First, a piece of information. Has your wife any vulnerable points?
Hardly. I think she must have 9 lives like a cat.
Oh, there, that was the boat whistling at the landing now. She'll soon be here.
I must go see her now.
No, you have to stay here. You have to be impolite. If her conscience is clear, you'll catch it until your ears tingle. If she's guilty, she'll come up and pet you.
Are you sure of that?
Not quite, because a rabbit will sometimes turn and run in loops. But I will follow. You see, my room is next to this, and there I shall take up my position and watch you while you are playing the game in here. And then when you are done, we'll change parts. See, I'll enter the cage and do tricks with the snake while you peek through the keyhole. Then we can meet at the park to compare notes, but keep your back stiff. If you feel yourself weakening, knock twice on the floor with a chair.
All right, but don't go away. I must be sure that you are in the next room.
Oh, yes, you can be quite sure of that, but don't get scared afterwards. When you watch me dissecting a human soul and laying out its parts on the table. I say it is rather hard on a beginner, but once you've seen it done, you never want to miss it. And be sure to remember one thing. Not a word about having met me, or having made any new acquaintances, whatever while she was away. Not one word. And I'll discover her weak point by myself. She's arrived. She's in the room. She's coming to herself. That means she's in a rage. Now, straight in the back, please. And sit down on that chair over there. See, that way, and she'll sit here. Then I can watch both of you at the same time.
It's only 15 minutes to dinner. No new guests have arrived. Or I haven't heard the bell ring. That means we are alone. Worse luck.
Are you weak?
I am nothing at all. Yes, I am afraid of what is now coming, but I cannot keep it from coming. The stone has been set rolling, and there's not the first drop of water that started it, but not the last one either. All of it together.
Let it roll then, for peace will come no other way. Goodbye for a while now.
Hello, little brother. How is he getting on?
What mischief have you been up to that makes you come and kiss me?
I'll tell you. I've spent an awful lot of money.
You have had a good time then?
Very. But not exactly at that creche meeting. That was plain piffle, to tell the truth. But what has little brother found to divert himself with while his kitten was away?
I've simply been bored.
Oh, and no company at all?
Right by myself.
Oh, or who has been sitting here?
There? Nobody.
Oh, that's funny. The seat is still warm, and there's a hollow here that looks like it's been made by an elbow. Have you had lady callers?
I? You don't believe that, do you?
No, but you blush. I think little brother is not telling the truth. Come and tell Kitten now what he has on his conscience.
You're a little devil. Do you know that?
No, I don't know anything at all about myself.
You never think of yourself, do you?
I think of nothing but myself. I am a dreadful egoist. But what has made you turn so philosophical all at once?
Put your hand on my forehead.
Oh, has he got ants in his head again? Does he want me to take them away, does he? Ha, there now. Is it all right now?
That's all right.
Well, tell me now, what have you been doing to make the time go? Have you painted anything?
No, I am done with painting.
What? Done with painting?
Yes, but do not scold me for it. How can I help it that I cannot paint any longer?
What do you mean to do then?
I'll become a sculptor.
What a lot of brand new ideas again.
Yes, but please don't scold. Look at that figure over there.
Well, I declare. Who is that meant for?
Yes.
Oh, is it kitten? Has he no shame at all?
Is it like?
How can I tell when there's no face?
But there is so much more that is beautiful.
Now, he must keep still, or I'll have to kiss him.
Now, somebody might come.
Well, what do I care? Can't I kiss my own husband, perhaps? Oh, yes, that's my lawful right.
Yes, but don't you know? In the hotel here, they don't believe we are married because we are kissing each other subtly. And it makes no difference that we quarrel now and then, for lovers are said to do that also.
Well, but what's the use of quarreling? Oh, why can't he always be as nice as he is now? Tell me now, can't he try? Doesn't he want us to be happy?
Do I want it? Yes, but I...
Oh, there we are again. Who has put into his head that he is not to paint any longer?
You're always looking for somebody else behind my thoughts. Are you jealous?
Yes, I am. I'm afraid somebody might take him away from me.
Are you really afraid of that? You who know that no other woman can take your place, that I cannot live without you?
Well, I'm not afraid of the women. It's your friends that fill your head with all sorts of notions.
You are afraid then? What are you afraid?
Somebody has been here. Who has been here?
Don't you wish me to look at you?
Not in that way. It's not the way you're accustomed to look at me.
How was I looking at you then?
Way up under my eyelids.
Under your eyelids? Yes, I wanted to see what was behind them.
See all you can. There is nothing that needs to be hidden. But you talk differently. You use expressions. You philosophize. That's what you do. Who has been here?
Nobody but my physician.
Oh, your physician. Who is he?
The doctor from Stromstad.
What's his name?
Delberg.
Huh. What did he have to say?
Well, among other things, that I am on the verge of epilepsy.
Among other things. What more did he say?
It'll be very unpleasant.
Tell me.
Forbade us to live as man and wife for a while.
Oh, that's it. Didn't I just guess it? They want to separate us. That's what I've understood a long time.
You can't have understood because there was nothing to understand.
Oh, yes, I have.
How can you see what doesn't exist unless you fear of something that has stirred up your fancy into seeing what has never existed? What is it you fear? That I might borrow somebody else's eyes in order to see you as you are and not as you seem to be?
Keep your imagination in check, Adolph. It is the beast that dwells in man's soul.
Did you learn that from those chaste young men on the boat, did you?
Yes, there is something to be learned from youth also.
I think you're already beginning to get a taste for chaste youth.
I've always liked youth. That's why I love you. Do you object?
No, but I should prefer to have no partners.
Oh, my heart is so big, little brother, that there is room in it for many more than him.
But little brother doesn't want any more brothers.
Come here to Kitten now and get his hair pulled because he's jealous. No, envious is the right word for it.
No, I don't want to play now. I want to talk seriously.
Oh, mercy me, does he want to talk seriously? Dreadful how serious he's become. Smile a little. Ah, there now.
I might almost think you knew how to use magic.
Well, can't he see now? That's why I shouldn't start any trouble. Or I might use my magic to make him invisible.
Will you sit up for me for a moment, Tekla? With your side of your face this way, so I can put a face to the figure.
Of course I will.
Don't think of me now. Think of somebody else.
I'll think of my latest conquest.
That chaste young man?
Oh, exactly. He had a pair of the prettiest, sweetest mustaches, and his cheek looked like a peach. Oh, it was so soft and rosy that you just wanted to bite it.
Please keep that expression about the mouth.
What expression?
Cynical, brazen one that I have never seen before.
This one.
Just that one.
Hmm.
Do you know how Bret Harte pictures the adulteress?
No, I have never read Bret something.
As a pale creature that cannot blush.
Oh, not at all. But when she meets her lover, then she must blush, I'm sure, although her husband, or Mr. Bret, may not be allowed to see it.
Are you so sure of that?
Of course. As the husband is not capable of bringing the blood up to her head, he cannot hope to behold the charming spectacle.
TEKLA!
Oh, you little ninny.
TEKLA!
He should call her kitten. Then I might get up a pretty little blush for his sake. Does he want me to?
Minx. I'm so angry with you that I could bite you.
Look out. Somebody might come.
What do I care? I care nothing else in the world if I can only have you.
And when you don't have me any longer?
Then I shall die.
But you are not afraid of losing me, are you? As I am too old to be wanted by anybody else.
I've forgotten my words yet, TEKLA. I take it all back now.
Can you explain to me why you're all at once so jealous and so cocksure?
No, I cannot explain anything at all. But it's possible that the thought of somebody else having possessed you may still be gnawing within me. At times it appears to me as if our love were nothing but a fiction, an attempt at self-defense, a passion kept up as a matter of honor. I can't think of anything that would give me more pain than to see him know that I am unhappy. Oh, I have never seen him, but the mere thought that a person exists who is waiting for my misfortune to arrive, who is daily calling down my curses on my head, who will roar with laughter when I perish. The mere idea of it obsesses me. Draws me nearer to you, fascinates me, paralyzes me.
Do you think I would let him have that joy? Do you think I would make his prophecy come true?
No, I cannot think you would.
Why don't you keep calm then?
No. You upset me constantly with your coquetry. Why do you play these games?
It is no game. I want to be admired, that's all.
Yes, but only by men.
Of course, for a woman is never admired by other women.
Tell me, have you heard anything from him recently?
Not in the last 6 months.
Do you ever think of him?
No, since the child died, we have broken off our correspondence.
And you have never seen him at all?
No, I understand he's living somewhere down the West Coast. But why is all this coming into your head just now?
I don't know. During the last few days while I was alone, I was thinking of him, how he might have felt. He was left alone all that time.
Are you having an attack of bad conscience?
I am.
You feel like a thief, do you?
Almost.
Ah, isn't that lovely? Women can be stolen as you steal children or chickens, and you regard me as his chattel or personal property. I am very much obliged to you.
No, I regard you as his wife, which is a good deal more than property, but there can be no substitute.
Oh, yes. If you only heard they had married again, all these foolish notions would leave you. Oh, have you not taken his place with me?
Well, have I? And did you ever love him?
Of course I did.
Then?
I grew tired of him.
You think you grow tired of me?
I won't.
If somebody else should turn up who had all the qualities of a man you are looking for now, suppose only then would you leave me?
No, that doesn't follow.
But you couldn't love two at the same time, could you?
Yes, why not?
That's something I cannot understand.
But things exist, although you do not understand them. All persons are not made in the same way, you know.
I begin to see now.
No, really.
No, really? Do you know, TEKLA, that your frankness is beginning to be painful?
And it used to be my foremost virtue in your mind, and one that you taught me.
Yes, but it seems to me as if you're hiding something behind all that frankness of yours.
That's the new tactics, you know.
I don't know why. This place has suddenly become offensive to me. If you feel like it, we might return this evening.
What kind of notion is that? I've barely arrived and I don't feel like starting another trip.
I want to.
Well, what's that to me? You can go.
But I demand that you take the next boat with me.
Demand? What are you talking about?
Do you realize that you are my wife?
Do you realize you are my husband?
Well, there's a difference between those two things.
Oh, that's the way you're talking now. You have never loved me.
Haven't I?
No, but to love is to give.
To love a man is to give. To love like a woman is to take. And I have given.
And what have you given?
Everything!
Oh, that's a lot. And if it be true, then I must have taken it. Are you beginning to send in bills for your gifts now? And if I have taken anything, this proves only my love for you. A woman cannot receive anything except from her lover. Well,
A lover. Yes. There, you spoke the truth. I have been your lover, but never your husband.
well, isn't that much more agreeable to escape playing chaperone? But if you're not satisfied with your position, I will send you packing, because I do not want a husband.
No. That's what I've noticed for a while ago. When you began to sneak away from me like a thief with his booty, and when you began to seek company of your own where you could flaunt my plumes and display my gems, then I felt like reminding you of your debt. That once I became a troublesome creditor whom you wanted to get rid of. You wanted to repudiate your own notes, and in order not to increase your debts to me, you stopped pillaging my safe and began to try those of other people instead. Without having done anything myself, I became to you merely the husband. And now I'm going to be your husband, whether you like it or not, as I am not allowed to be your lover any longer.
Now, you shouldn't talk nonsense, the sweet little idiot.
Look out. It's dangerous to think of everyone as an idiot but yourself.
But that's what everybody thinks.
I begin to suspect that he, your former husband, is not as much of an idiot after all.
Heavens, are you beginning to sympathize with him?
Yes, not far from it.
Well, well, perhaps you would like to make his acquaintance and pour out your overflowing heart to him. What a striking picture. But I am also beginning to feel drawn to him, as I am growing more and more tired of acting as wet nurse. For he was at least a man, even though he had the fault of being married to me.
There, you see! But you had better not talk so loud. We might be overheard.
Oh, what would it matter if they took us for married people?
Now you are getting fond of real male men also. At the same time, a taste for chaste young men.
There are no limits to what I can like, as you may see. My heart is open to everybody and everything, to the big and the small, the handsome and the ugly, the new and the old. I love the whole world.
Do you know what that means?
No, I don't know anything at all. I just feel.
it means old age is near.
There you are again. Take care.
Take care of yourself.
Of what?
Of that knife.
Little brother had better not play with such dangerous things.
I've quit playing.
Oh, it's earnest, is it? Dead earnest. Then I'll show you that you are mistaken. That is to say, you'll never see it, never know it, but all of the rest of the world will know it. And you'll suspect it, you'll believe it, and you'll never have another moment's peace. You'll have the feeling of being ridiculous, of being deceived, but you'll never get any proof of it, for that's what married men never get.
You hate me then?
No, I don't. And I don't think I shall either. But that's probably because you are nothing to me but a child.
At this moment, yes. Do you remember how it was while the storm swept over us? Then you lay like an infant in my arms and just cried. Then you sit on my lap and I had to kiss your eyes to sleep. Then I had to be your nurse, had to see that you fix your hair before going out, had to send your shoes to the cobbler, and had to see that there was food in the house. I had to sit by your side, holding your hands for hours at a time. You were afraid of the world because you didn't have a single friend, because you were crushed by the hostility of public opinion. I had to take courage into you until my mouth was dry and my head ached. I had to make myself believe I was strong. I had to force myself into believing in the future. And so I brought you back to life when you seemed already dead. Then you admired me. Then I was the man, not the kind of athlete you had just left, but a man of willpower, the mesmerist, who instilled new nervous energy into your flabby muscles and charged your empty brain with new stores of electricity. And then I gave you back your reputation. I brought you new friends, furnished you with a little court of people who, for the sake of friendship, let themselves be lured into admiring you. I set you to rule by my house. Then I painted my best pictures, glimmering with reds and blues, backgrounds of gold. There was not an exhibition then where I didn't hold a place of honor. Sometimes you were Saint Cecilia, and sometimes you were Mary Stuart, or little Karen, whom King Eric loved. And I turned public attention into your direction. I compelled the clamorous herd to see you with my own infatuated vision. I plagued them with your personality, forced them literally to shove you down their throats, until that sympathy which makes everything possible became yours at last, and you could stand on your own feet. When you reached that far, then my strength was used up. I collapsed from overstrain. In lifting you up, I had pushed myself down. I was taken ill, and my illness seemed an annoyance. All life had just begun to smile at you. And sometimes it seemed to me as if in your heart there was a secret desire to get rid of your creditor and the witness of your rise. Your love began to change into that of a grown-up sister, and for lack of better, I accustomed myself to the new part of little brother. Your tenderness for me remained and even increased, but it was mingled with a suggestion of pity that you had in it a good deal of contempt. And this changed into open scorn as my talents withered, your own sun rose higher, but in the same mysterious way, the fountain of your inspiration seemed to dry up, and I could no longer replenish it. Or rather, when you wanted to show its independence of me. And at last, the both of us began to lose ground, and then you looked for somebody to put the blame on, a new victim, for you are weak. And you can never carry your own burden of guilt, and so you picked me for a scapegoat and doomed me to slaughter. But when you cut my thews, you didn't realize that you were also crippling yourself, for by this time our years of common life had made twins of us. You were a shoot sprung from my stem, and you wanted to cut yourself loose before the shoot had put out its roots of its own. And you couldn't grow by yourself, and my stem could not spare its main branch. So the stem and branch died together.
What you mean with all this is that you have written my books.
No. That's what you want me to mean in order to make me out a liar. I don't use such crude expressions as you do. I spoke for something like 5 minutes to get in all the nuances and halftones and all the transitions. But your hand organs has only a single note in it.
Yes, but the summary of the whole story is that you have written my books.
No, there is no summary. You cannot summarize a chord into a single note. You cannot translate a buried life into the sum of one figure. I have made no blunt statements like that of having written your books.
But that's what you meant.
I did not mean it.
But the sum of it.
There can be no sum without an addition. You cannot get an endless decimal of a fraction of a quotient when no division does not work out evenly. I've not added anything.
But I can do the adding myself.
I believe it, but then I am not doing it.
No, but that's what you wanted to do.
Oh, no.
What is it?
Don't speak to me.
Are you sick?
Into convulsions. Keep silent. Leave me alone. You mutilate my brain with your clumsy pincers. You put your claws into my thoughts and tear them to pieces.
What is it? Are you sick? ADOLPH!
Yes.
ADOLPH!
Yes.
Do you admit that you were unjust a moment ago?
Yes, I admit.
And do you ask my pardon?
Yes. I ask your pardon if only you won't speak to me.
Kiss my hand then.
I'll kiss your hand if you only don't speak to me.
And now you had better go out for a breath of fresh air before dinner.
Yes, I think I need it. Then we'll pack and leave.
No.
Why? There must be a reason.
The reason is that I have promised to be at the concert tonight.
Oh, that's it.
Yes, that's it. I have promised to attend.
Promised? Oh, probably you said only that you might go, and that wouldn't prevent you from saying no, that you won't go.
No, I am not like you. I keep my word.
Of course, promises should be kept, but we don't have to live up to every little word we might happen to drop. Perhaps there's somebody who has made you promise to go.
Yes.
Then you can ask to be released from your promise because your husband is sick.
No, I don't want to do that. And you are not sick enough to be kept from going with me.
Why do you always drag me along? Do you feel safer then?
I don't know what you mean.
That's what you always say when you know what I mean, but it doesn't please you.
So, what is it now that doesn't please me?
Oh, I beg you, do not begin again. Goodbye for a while.
Oh. Is it you?
Yes, it's me. Oh, I beg your pardon.
Which way did you come?
By land, but I'm not going to stay. As it...
Oh, there's no reason why you shouldn't. Well, it was some time ago.
Yes, sometime.
You have changed a great deal.
You're as charming as ever. A little younger, if anything. Oh, excuse me, because I'm not going to spoil your happiness by my presence. If I had known that you were here, I should never have.
If you don't think it improper, I should like you to stay.
Well, on my part, there could be no objection, but I feel, well, Whatever I say, I am sure to offend.
Sit down a moment. You don't offend me, for you possess that rare gift which was always yours, of tact and politeness.
That's very kind of you, but one could hardly expect that your husband might regard my qualities in the same generous light as you.
On the contrary, he has just been speaking of you in very sympathetic terms.
Oh, well, everything becomes covered by time, like names cut in a tree, huh? Not even dislike can maintain itself permanently in our minds.
He has never disliked you, for he has never seen you. And as for me, I have always cherished a dream, that of seeing you come together as friends, or at least of seeing you meet for once in my presence, seeing you shake hands and then go your different ways.
It has also been a secret longing of mine to see her whom I used to love more than my own life, to make sure that she was in good hands. And although I have heard nothing but good of him, and I am familiar with all of his work, I should nevertheless have liked, before it grew too late, to look into his eyes and beg him to take good care of the treasure that Providence has placed in his possession. In that way, I hoped also to lay the hatred that must have developed instinctively between us, wish to bring some peace and humility into my soul, so that I might manage to live through the rest of my sorrowful days.
Oh, you have uttered my own thoughts, and you have understood me. Thank you for it.
Oh, I'm a man of small account. I've always been too insignificant to keep you in the shadow. My monotonous way of living, my drudgery, my narrow horizons, all that could not satisfy a soul like yours, longing for liberty. I admit it. But you understand, you have searched the human soul, what it cost me to make such a confession to myself.
It is noble, it is splendid to acknowledge one's own shortcomings. And it's not everybody that's capable of it. But yours has always been an honest and faithful and reliable nature, one that I had to respect, but didn't.
Not always. Not at that time. But suffering purifies, sorrow ennobles. I have suffered.
Oh, poor Gustav. Can you forgive me? Tell me, can you?
Forgive what? No, I am the one who must ask you to forgive. Oh.
I think we are both crying. Both of us who are old enough to know better.
Oh, yes, I am. Yes, I am old. But you, you grow younger every day.
Do you think so?
Yes, and you know how to dress.
Well, I learned that from you. Don't you remember how you figured out what colors would be most becoming to me?
No.
Yes. Don't you remember? I can even recall how you used to be angry with me whenever I failed to have at least a bit of crimson about the dress.
Not angry. I was never angry with you.
Yes. You were. Don't you remember when you used to teach me to think? I was always terrible at that.
Of course you could. It's something every human being does, and you have become quite keen at it when you write.
Well, my dear Gustav, it is pleasant to see you anyhow, and especially in a peaceful way like this.
Yeah, well, I can hardly be called a troublemaker. You had a pretty peaceful time with me.
Perhaps too much so.
Oh. But you see, I thought you wanted me that way. At least that was the impression you gave me while we were engaged.
Do you think one really knows what one wants at that time? And then the mamas insist on all kinds of pretensions, of course.
You must be having all the excitement you can wish. They say that living among the artists is rather swift, and I don't think your husband can be called a sluggard.
Well, you can get too much of a good thing.
Oh, what? Are you? I do believe you are wearing the earrings that I gave you.
Why not? There was never any quarrel between us, and Then I thought I might wear them as a token and a reminder that we were not enemies. And then you know it is impossible to buy this kind of earrings any longer.
Oh, it's all right, but what does your husband say of it?
Why should I mind what he says?
Don't you mind that? You may be doing him an injury. It's likely to make him ridiculous.
He was that before.
May I help you, perhaps?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Oh, that tiny ear. Oh, think if only your husband could see us now.
Wouldn't he howl, though?
Oh, is he jealous also?
Is he? I should say so.
Ah. Oh, who lives in that room?
I don't know, but tell me, how are you getting along, and what are you doing?
Tell me rather how you are getting along. Oh. Well, hello. What is that? Well, that must be you.
I don't believe so.
Oh, but it is very like you.
Do you think so?
You know, that reminds me of a story. You know it? How could your majesty see that?
You are impossible. Do you know any news stories?
Ah, no. You ought to have some.
Oh, I never hear anything funny nowadays.
Be modest also.
Well,
Not in everything.
he isn't, well, just now.
Yeah, well, why should little brother put his nose into other people's lives?
You crazy thing.
Ah, poor chap. Do you remember once when we were just married, we lived in this very room? Oh, it was furnished differently in those days. There was a chest of drawers over there. Over there stood the big bed.
Now you stop.
Look at me.
Why shouldn't I?
Do you think a person can ever forget anything that has made a very deep impression on him?
No, and our memories have a tremendous power, particularly the memories of our youth.
You remember when I first met you? Yeah, then you were a pretty little girl. Oh, a slate on which parents and governesses had made a few scrawls that I had to wipe out, and then I filled it with inscriptions that suited my own mind until you believed the slate could hold nothing more. And see, that's the reason, you know, why I should care to be in your husband's place. Anyway, well, that's his business. But it is also the reason why I take pleasure in meeting you again. Our thoughts fit together exactly. As I sit here and chat with you, it seems to me like drinking an old wine of my own bottling. Yes, it's my wine, but it has gained a great deal of flavor. Now, when I am about to marry again, I have purposely picked out a young girl who I can educate to suit myself. For the woman, you know, is the man's child. If she is not, he becomes hers, and then the world turns topsy-turvy.
You are going to marry again?
Yes. I want to try my luck once more, but this time I'm going to make a better start so that it won't end in a spill.
Is she good looking?
Yes, to me. But perhaps I am too. Oh, it's queer now when a chance has brought me together with you again. I'm beginning to doubt whether it will be possible to play the game over again.
How do you mean?
I can feel my roots stick in your soil. The old wounds are beginning to break open. You are a dangerous woman.
Am I? And my young husband says I can make no more conquests.
That means he has ceased to love you.
Well, I can't quite make out what love means to him.
Oh, you've been playing hide and seek so long that alas, you cannot find each other at all. Such things do happen. See, you have had to play the innocent to yourself until he has lost his courage. There are some drawbacks to a change. I tell you, there are drawbacks to it indeed.
Do you mean to reproach?
No, not at all. See, whatever happens is to a certain extent necessary, for if it didn't happen, then something else would. But now it did happen, and so it had to happen.
You are a man of discernment, and I have never met anybody with whom I like so much to exchange ideas. You are so utterly free from all morality and preaching, and you ask so little of people. It is possible to be oneself in your presence. Do you know I'm jealous of your intended wife?
You realize that I am jealous of your husband?
Oh. And now we must part forever.
Yes, we must part. But not without a farewell. What do you say?
No.
Yes, let's have a farewell. Let us drown our memories. You know, there are intoxications so deep that when you wake up, all the memories are gone. You have been dragged down by a diseased spirit who is infecting you with his own anemia. I'll breathe new life into you. I'll make your talent blossom again in your autumn days like a remnant rose.
Leave me alone. I'm afraid of you.
Why?
You take my soul away from me.
And I give you mine in its place, and you have no soul for that matter. It's just a delusion.
You have a way of saying impolite things so that nobody can be angry with you.
Oh, that's because you feel I hold the first mortgage on you. Tell me now, when and where?
No, it wouldn't be right. I think he is still in love with me, and I don't want to do any more harm.
He does not love you. Do you want proofs?
Where can you get them?
Here, see for yourself.
Oh, that's an outrage.
Now do you see? Now then, when and where?
The false-hearted wretch. He leaves tonight with the 8 o'clock boat.
And then?
At 9. Who can be living in there that is causing such a racket?
Oh, no, I shouldn't wonder if they just have a dog locked up inside there at 9 o'clock. Then?
Right. And let him answer for himself. Oh, what a depth of deceit. And he, who has always preached about truthfulness and tried to teach me to tell the truth. But wait a little. How was it now? He received me with something like hostility. Didn't meet me at the landing and then he made some remark about young men on board the boat, which I pretended not to hear. But how could he know? Wait, and then he began to philosophize about women, and the specter of you seemed to be haunting him. And he talked of becoming a sculptor, that being the art of the time. Exactly in accordance with your old speculations.
No, really?
No, really. Oh, now I understand. Now I begin to see what a hideous creature you are. Oh, you have been here before and stabbed him to death. It was you who had been sitting there on the sofa. It was you who made him think himself an epileptic, that he had to live in celibacy, that he ought to rise in rebellion against his wife. Yes, it was you. How long have you been here?
I have been here a week.
Oh, it was you then I saw on board the boat.
It was.
And now you are thinking you could trap me.
It has been done.
Not yet.
Yes,
Oh, like a wolf, you went after my lamb. You came here with a villainous plan to break up my happiness, and you were carrying it out when my eyes were opened and I foiled you.
No, not quite that way. If you please, you see, this is how it happened in reality. So, of course, it has been my secret hope that disaster might overtake you, but I felt practically certain that no interference on my part was required. And besides, I have been far too busy to have any time left for intriguing. But, see, when I had been moving about a bit and happened to see you with those young men on the boat, then I guess the time had come for me to take a look at the situation. So I came here, and your lamb threw itself into the arms of the wolf. I won his affection by some sort of reminiscent impression, which I shall not be tactless enough to explain to you. At first, he aroused my sympathy, because he seemed to be in the same fix as I was once. But then he happened to touch old wounds. Book, you know, and the idiot. I was seized with a wish to pick him to pieces and to mix these up so thoroughly that they couldn't be put together again. And I succeeded. Thanks to the painstaking way in which you had done the work of preparation. And then I had to deal with you. For you were the spring that had kept the works moving, and you had to be taken apart. And what a buzzing followed. When I came in here, I didn't know exactly what to say. See, like a chess player, I had laid a number of tentative plans, of course, but my play had to depend on your moves. One thing led to another. Chance lent me a hand, and finally, I have you where I want you. Now you are caught.
No!
Yes, you are. What you least wanted has happened. The world at large has seen how you became reconciled to your former husband and how you sneaked back faithfully into his arms. Isn't that enough?
It ought to be enough for your revenge. But tell me, how can you, who are so enlightened and so right-minded, how is it possible that you, who think whatever happens must happen, and that all our actions are determined in advance?
To a certain extent, determined.
That's the same thing.
No.
How is it possible that you, who hold me guiltless as I was driven by my nature and the circumstances into acting as I did, how can you think yourself entitled to revenge?
For that very reason. For the reason that my nature and the circumstances drove me into seeking revenge. Isn't that giving both sides a square deal? But do you know why you two had to get the worst of it in this struggle? Why you were doomed to be fooled? Because I am stronger than you. And wiser also. You have been the idiot, and he. And now you may perceive that a man need not be an idiot because he doesn't write novels or paint pictures. It might be well for you to bear this in mind.
Are you then entirely without feelings?
Entirely. And for that very reason, you know, I am capable of thinking, in which you have had no experience whatever, and of acting, in which you have had some slight experience.
All this merely because I have hurt your vanity.
Don't call that merely. You better not go around hurting other people's vanity. They have no more sensitive spot than that.
Vindictive wretch, shame on you!
Dissolute wretch, shame on you!
Oh, that's my character, is it?
Oh, that's my character, is it?
Oh.
You ought to learn something about human nature and others before you give your own nature free rein. Otherwise, you might get hurt, and then there will be wailing and gnashing of teeth.
You can never forgive me.
Yes, I have forgiven you.
You.
Of course. Have I raised a hand against you during all of these years? No. And now I came here only to have a look at you, and it was enough to burst your bubble. Have I uttered a single reproach? Have I moralized or preached sermons? No, I played a joke or two on your dear consort, and nothing more was needed to finish him. But there was no reason I, the complainant, should be defending myself as I am now. Tekla, have you nothing at all to reproach yourself with?
Nothing at all. Christians say that our actions are governed by providence. Others call it fate. In either case, are we not free from all liability?
In a measure, yes. But there's always a narrow margin left unprotected, and there the liability applies in spite of it all. And sooner or later, the creditors make their appearance, guiltless but accountable. Guiltless in regard to one who is no more, accountable to oneself and one's fellow beings.
So, you came here to dun me?
I came to take back what you had stolen, not what you received as a gift. You had stolen my honor, and I could recover it only by taking yours. This, I think, was my right, was it not?
Honor. And now you feel satisfied?
Now I feel satisfied.
And now you are going home to your fiancée.
Oh, I have no fiancé, nor am I ever going to have one. And I am not going home, for I have no home, and I don't want one. I am leaving by the 8 o'clock boat.
Oh, without making up.
Making up? You use such a lot of words that have lost their meaning. Why should we make up? Well, perhaps you want the three of us to live together. You, if anybody, ought to make up by making good what you took away. But this you cannot do. You consume so that there is nothing left to restore. Oh, will it satisfy you if I say like this? Oh, forgive me that you tore my heart to pieces. Forgive me that you disgraced me. Forgive me that you made me the laughing stock of all my pupils for every weekday of 7 long years. Forgive me that I set you free from parental restraint, that I released you from the tyranny of ignorance and superstition, that I set you to rule my house, that I gave you position and friends, that I made a woman the child you were before. Forgive me as I forgive you. Now, I have torn up your note. Now you can go settle your account with the other one.
What have you done with him? I am beginning to suspect something terrible.
Him? Oh, you still love him?
Yes.
Oh, a moment ago it was me. Was that true?
It was true.
Do you know what you are then?
You despise me.
Yeah, I pity you. It is a trait. You know, I don't call it a fault, just a trait which is rendered disadvantageous, by its results. Poor TEKLA. Oh, I don't know, but it seems almost as if I were feeling a certain regret. Although I am as free from any guilt as you. But perhaps it will be useful to you to feel what I felt at that time. Do you know where your husband is?
I think I know now. He's in that room there. And he has heard everything and seen everything. And the man who sees his own wrath dies.
Oh, there he is. Now you can settle with him. See if he proves as generous as I have been. Goodbye.
Adolph! My own child! Are you still alive? Oh, speak! Speak! Please! Forgive you, nasty TEKLA! Forgive me! Forgive me! Forgive me! Little brother must say something! I tell you! Oh, good God, he doesn't hear. Good God, he doesn't hear. He is dead. He is dead. Oh, God in heaven. Oh, my God. Help. Help.
Why, she must have really loved him too. Poor creature.